Okay, so you're on the comedy circuit, and how do we get to Marvel? Like, how does that even happen? And also, please shout out the improv house that you were at, because I still live here, and I would love to make sure I know who they are.
So I was really lucky. Everything has kind of been very unusual for me. My mentor, who's still my mentor, I worked for the Men's Foundation, is the one how I got to New York. But I started off as a drama kid. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, you got a Letterman's jacket in like track? That's great. I got a Letterman's jacket in drama, and I was first alto 2 in district. Thank you. I mean, so like, I'm the drama club president, and I had a Letterman's jacket.
Oh, you were the worst. You couldn't tell you nothing. If they were even allowed.
Because then I not only lettered, I had the pin. So, you didn't letter one year, you lettered twice, so they had to give you the pin the next year. You could tell me nothing. I was a mess. But I was, at that time, like, it wasn't, like, now it's much cooler for kids to be, like, much more diverse. But we were watching Monty Python, we were watching Spaceballs, we loved Mel Brooks. Like, that's the joint. Like, that's how I grew up, right? And so, for me, when my friends were in New York, I randomly got into the improv circuit because I'm working for a philanthropy. I'd been working for a senator in DC. I was the co-chair of a thing called New Leaders Council in DC. I'd been a fellow, became a co-chair. When I went to New York, I hooked back up with the New York chapter. The New York chapter needed somebody to do a piece of the training for the new fellows, talking about diversity and feminism. I go to a happy hour afterwards, and I run into someone who works in politics, who used to work at Marvel, was now back in politics. Not as weird as you would think. And
today, that's weird. Today,
it's interesting, especially when you think about a story like Christian Cooper's, right? So Christian Cooper is the guy who. You remember the whole incident in City Park where the white lady had the dog off the leash and the guy who was
Yes, I'm back. I'm with you.
Christian Cooper, the Harvard graduate who worked at Marvel and was actually the assistant editor on the first comic book that came out with the first out gay Marvel character, who also worked on as an assistant editor on the comic book that had the first Marvel character with AIDS pass away. Christian Cooper?
Stop. Wait. Please forgive me.
Cooper worked at Marvel.
No. I know. As soon as you said it, and you told me he was with Marvel, and the thing that I got.
And he worked under the highest ranking woman, and still the highest ranking woman. Now Marvel Studios is different, but Marvel Entertainment, the highest ranking editor ever, Bobby Chase.
Okay.
Yes.
I am gathered. I am sad. I am here for the learning. Oh my gosh.
And if you look at the back of it, which you can't get on digital, you have to get it physically. In Hulk 420, yes, 420, on the back of it, they have letters, not from the editor, but from people who have lost loved ones who had been impacted by the AIDS and HIV epidemic.
That I remember. I remember that being a big deal.
He was the assistant editor on that.
Holy shit.
He also created the first outwardly lesbian character in Marvel.
We have to sit. I want to talk to you afterwards, after all of this, at some point. I know you're busy, because you're busy all the time, forever and ever. Amen.
But I say this to say, it's very interesting the way things go. Yes. And so this really dope guy, Tom Brennan, he was in improv with his wife. They had a show called Electoral Dysfunction, where they got old political people to come and have this panel. And then based on the panel, the improvers would come in and they would do the other 30 minutes would be an improv show based on our conversation. And so I was there. I met this woman named Megan Sass, who is a writer, brilliant writer. Introduced me to Lorraine Sink. I went on her show for Geek Girl Co-ed Slumber Party. And the moment I met Lorraine, I was like, so we're best friends. Great. Cool. And so I was developing my stuff. I was doing some stuff over at SiriusXM Progress as a fill-in host and doing imaging. And I went on a trip to the Middle East with a friend of mine, Carolyn Malachi, because I'd started off when I was younger in spoken word, slam poetry, and we had become friends. And like when I was living in DC, and she was like, my job at the Ms. Foundation was external affairs, and we had done some videos. One called "We Won't Go Back" for women, and so it was the first time Trump was elected.
Yeah.
And she was like, so what did you do for that? And I explained to her, like, so you want to go to the Middle East with me for a month and entertain the troops? And I was like, cool. And so I went to the Middle East, but before I left, I had a meeting with Lorraine. I was like, Lorraine, I gotta be a creative again. And while I was in the Middle East, I got an email from Marvel. Ironically, the person's last name was Fink, and my friend's name was Sink. So at first I thought it was like, is this real?
Yes.
But I emailed them, had a call on my cell phone, very expensive call, $20 for 3 minutes, with the guy who was over podcasting at the time. Had a meeting when I came back, did my voice test in January, and the next thing I know, I was the host of Marvel's Voices.
And just like that.
Which we got to really redesign, and it's been kind of incredible. Down to, if you look at that beautiful articulation up there and the use of all of the different images, every single one of those logos is a logo from a character of color. Yes. And so we really, and that was one of the things where I was one of my proudest moments is when Marvel did say that I was the creator of Marvel's Voices. Because it initially had started off as a segment on Women of Marvel called Voices of Marvel.
Yes.
And we were able to take it and wrap it up into this long form interview series where we really delved into, why do you love Marvel? Why do you love these characters? Why are these folks your favorites? Hold on, there we go. There's an adjustment. Like my producer in my brain was like, this is,
I didn't know if you could fix it, and I was like, I am not going to give you that to worry about. That is low.
My camera was very confused. And so for me, it was this chance to interview all these incredible people. And a lot of people don't realize, like, I interviewed Francesca Ramsey. We interviewed Janelle James. We interviewed Aja Wilson. All these people before they really blew up, right? And we had these moments, Cheodore Coker, it was great. And one of the things that we loved is that we're like, we should do a book. And I got to shout out, Chris Robinson he was an editor at Marvel at the time, put through that first book. And, we worked together where I was able to bring in the essayist and the journalist and create this model where we had an intro that was setting the tone of the book. And then there was a historical aspect that coupled in the book. And so every time you pick up a Marvel's Voices book, it's not just an anthology, and now we're doing a much better where there's a through line on a full story. It also is interviews with Janice Chang. It also is interviews with Larry Hama, Christian Cooper, Marcus Toe, all of these incredible creators, getting their input and their feedback, but also their own origin stories and how they got involved with Marvel. And it's creating this archive. We've interviewed Priest, we've interviewed Stelfreeze, we interviewed Taran Clark, both in these and then also in the anthologies. And so for me, Marvel's Voices really, it was supposed to be a vehicle to get more people of color in and engaged.
I'm gonna push a button. Marvel has, for me, reading Marvel's Voices. Actually, shout out to BJ Watkins. That's my friend. She was one of the people that did Marvel's Voices. One of the pieces with you. So hi BJ. It's very frustrating to me to see there's a stark difference this month within Marvel. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, or if you have any insider knowledge about the goings on. I don't even know if I can ask you that, but here I am. Do you have any feelings about the direction Marvel has been going in at all?
As a person who has had a opportunity to study Marvel for the last almost 90 years of its, like, from Atlas on, right? Comics ebb and flow, right? Creators ebb and flow, trends ebb and flow, technology shifts things, EIC shift things. But I will say I'm really excited. We do have 2 Marvel's Voices coming out this year.
Okay.
I cannot remember if I can tell you what they are.
You do not have to tell me what they are. You can tell me an approximate date of release.
It's really bad. Sometimes I'm just like, did that press release go out?
I haven't seen anything, at least from January to February. I have not seen nothing.
I will tell you there is at least 2 Marvel's Voices specials coming out this year.
Okay.
And so what I'm really proud of is that, you know, our new lead editor, Alana, is really like working, but also we've got a number of other folks at Marvel who are extremely committed to keeping the Marvel's Voices. So Jubilee is getting a one-shot. I can say that.
I see that. It's supposed to release January. What is it? Oh my gosh. Asian American Pacific Islanders #1.
Yes.
I think is that one.
Yeah.
I don't see the other one, so I'm gonna let you live and not get you in trouble for the second one. But
I can say that we have a lot of folks who are extremely committed, even with like all the shifts and the mergers and, you know, things, you know, kind of resettling. And so I'm really excited about not this year, but like the work that we have kind of on deck for next year and keeping it going, right? Because
it's important.
We're yes, it's extremely important.
All right, let me see if I can get into.
Thanks for softballing that one.
Yeah, buddy. No. I be thinking long game, chess, baby, chess. I want to also. I have to talk about this. We're gonna get to Miss Opal, I promise.